Well, good morning, good day to all of you who are watching this recording. This is the School of Christian Mysticism, Joe and Malcolm, and we're here this morning to record a conversation and a lectio on the next part of the Gospel of Thomas. This is our study, contemplation at the moment, and it's taking us many months, and I think the rest of our lifetime, to sink so deeply into this amazing teaching from Yeshua through the Apostle Thomas. So as we have been before, we're using this book, the Gospel of Thomas, with a version by Jean-Yves Leloup. And today we'll be looking at the logion 92 to 98. 92 to 98. And this starts on page 49 and goes on to 50. I'd like to read something from the introduction of Jean-Yves Leloup's version, just to set an emotional, imaginative scene to connect us with this amazing discovery. So he says it happened in 1945 in Upper Egypt, in the area where Phenoboskian, the ancient monastic community founded by Saint Pachomius, had once stood. There was nothing unusual about that particular stretch of land near the Arab village of Nag Hammadi, and nothing unusual about the peasant digging there in search of fertilizer. It was by accident that his blade struck the treasure in the buried jar. It was a treasure not of gold, but of words, emerging from the shroud of many centuries, written on parchment that had been slowly decaying under the sands, a Gnostic library hidden in amphoras normally used to age wine. So before we begin, let's just take ourselves in our imagination to this extraordinary find. "2,000 years after Jesus had uttered these words, which Thomas particularly either heard as an individual or as an adept, or that were uttered to everyone, all the disciples. Treasured by this monastic community, perhaps, and under pressure of these precious teachings, versions of Jesus' teachings, under pressure and under danger, they were hidden in these earthen amphoras in the desert. And then discovered in 1945, just after the Second World War, just at the time when our society needs these teachings. So perhaps carrying the spirit of those monks and their dedication to these passages, these teachings, and their wisdom in hiding them. We'll have our conversation this morning. And so what we're going to do is to read, Malcolm and I, between us, these particular verses, 92 to 98. And then we're going to have a spontaneous conversation about them. We haven't studied beforehand deeply or decided what we're going to say or anything. We're just going to spontaneously discuss. And then we're going to descend as we feel it coming on, really, almost from mind to heart, and read again. And that will be more of a Lectio Divina practice. And we'll just offer the words or phrases which touch our hearts, or which, as Malcolm offered last time, speak to our condition. And then the third time we'll read again and just leave a silence. We'll continue to meditate for 10 minutes and then we'll leave you with that option as well. On Monday, which is the 12th of February, we'll be gathering live. We'll have a lectio on these verses again, and then a discussion with the live community, so to speak. And we invite you to join us if you'd like to. If you'd like to go to our website, www.theschoolofchristianmysticism.co.uk, you'll see a link, and you can write to us and we'll send you the link for the live conversation on Monday. So
starting at Logion 92. Yeshua said, "Seek, and you shall find. Yet those things you asked me about before, and which I did not tell you, I am willing to reveal now, but you no longer ask. Do not give sacred things to dogs, for they may eat them as dung. Do not throw pearls to swine, for they may treat them as rubbish." Yeshua said, "Whoever seeks will find. Whoever knocks from inside, it will open to them." Yeshua said, "If you have money, do not lend it with interest, but give it to the one who will never pay you back."
Yeshua said, "The kingdom of the Father is like the dough in which a woman has hidden some yeast. It becomes transformed into good bread. Those who have ears, let them hear." Yeshua said, "The kingdom of the Father is like the woman who carried a jar of flour. After she walked a long way, the handle of the jar broke, and the flour began to spill behind her along the road. Heedless, she noticed nothing. When she arrived, she set down the jar and found it empty." Yeshua said, "The kingdom of the Father is like the man who wanted to kill a man of power. First, he unsheathed his sword at home and thrust it into the wall to test his strength. Then he was able to kill the man of power."
So what speaks to your condition?
These kingdom verses are speaking to me, and well, it's the last verse which I just read there, but I feel that there's something there about the determination and really actually the kind of masculinity to defeat the ego. It's a pretty that image of he unsheathed his sword at home and thrust it into the wall to test his strength. it really it really it reminds me of sort of TV programs I'd rather not watch, um, but actually sometimes we do require this much energy and determination and militancy to tackle our ego. That's an initial thought about that particular verse, anyway.
So you're seeing killing the man of power as killing our ego, essentially.
Well, but all three of these kingdom verses, or at least certainly the second two about the woman with the broken jar of flour, they're a bit paradoxical. So, do you have a comment about the man with the sword?
Well, I too see it as wanting to kill the ego. First, he unsheathed his sword at home. So, what's the home where he unsheathed his sword? It's within, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
If you go within, and the wall of resistance to test his strength. It's a difficult one because you can't, of course, use the ego to kill the ego. It won't kill itself. So the strength is not coming from the ego, it's coming from within. It's coming from being at home.
Yes.
It's coming from the yeast that's in the dough, I guess.
Okay. Yes, I like that observation about the at home. The way these three verses begin, the kingdom of the Father is life.
Yeah.
That's the paradoxical part for me. What one could that he could have said in the one with the woman and the flower, for example, the kingdom of heaven is not like the woman who carried the jar of flour. That would make more sense, but which makes me wonder about the obvious interpretation of that verse. Yeah, or the immediately obvious one.
Yes, it is interesting, that one, isn't it? Because she's heedless. She's not in the moment. She's not watching
Yes,
what's happening. The flower spilt along the road without her even noticing, and
yeah,
she just lost it all.
yes,
And that's as you say, in what way that's like the kingdom of heaven is a difficult one.
Yeah.
It's often paradox at a deeper level that teaches us, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. Like the Zen koans.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Meister Eckhart, who teaches in paradoxes in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the flower that's spilling out along the road? That's the question. That's the Zen question.
Yes. I'm reminded of the Buddhist story about the woman with collecting water in the jars. You remember that one? She goes to the river with her jars on her. This I'm imagining on her. Yes, there were two with the yoke and the two jars. Goes to the river, collects water every day, comes back, and when she gets home, she notices she's got one full jar. This is as I recall it, and one jar has a crack in it, so it's not full. And she's very deeply upset about this, I think, as I recall. But then she notices that all along that side where she's been walking, um, on that verge, it's abundant with wildflowers, and it's very beautiful. So this kind of leakage is with the ego would think that you need to have a full jar, but the leakage, which is she's not noticed, is also significant somehow.
Mm. Some of these are more familiar to us, isn't it? Like, do not throw pearls to swine,
Yeah.
which are reflected in the canonical gospel as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always seemed to me to be a little harsh, that
Yes. On the swine, you mean?
on the swine, yeah. Well,
Yes.
not that swine appreciate pearls anyway, or that dogs, well, that's a different one, that dogs
Mm.
eat sacred things as dung, but saying be careful who you tell these things to,
Yes.
because they won't appreciate it. Um, there's an element of kind of secrecy about that,
Mm.
which again slightly grates a little, doesn't it? Secrecy. And
Mm.
the verse before is about secrecy as well. The things you asked me about before and I didn't tell you, presumably
Yes.
because they weren't ready to receive those things.
Yes.
But it's rather harsh judgment on people who are not ready to receive the things. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Mm.
what makes people ready to receive them?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question it begs.
Yes.
We always think it's grace, but I guess there are things we need to do ourselves as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Yes.
just something that's implanted in us. We
Mm-hmm.
unless we make the effort,
Mm.
we're not in a condition. Again, talking of speaking to my condition, but
Yes.
there are things we can do to put ourselves into that condition.
Yes.
Um, Contemplative prayer, I suppose, being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't do those things, if we just carry on living an ordinary worldly life without making any efforts at all, and just expecting that everything will be done for us, then
Yeah.
it won't be, will it?
Yes.
And whoever knocks from inside, it will open to them. It's all about being inside, isn't it? And being in your home and being it comes back for me again and again to entering into contemplative prayer, going within,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you find the truth,
Mm-hmm.
the yeast in the dough.
Yes, that's 94. Whoever knocks from the inside, it will open.
Mm,
That that's, that seems clear. At the risk of not being clear, but that seems clear, doesn't it? That the deeper our call, the deeper our invocation is, and our vocation, I suppose. But
yeah,
the, then the deeper it comes from within us, the more likely it is to open.
and whoever seeks will find. It rather suggests that the dogs and the swine in the previous verse were not even seeking.
Yes, that's true. Yes, they're not ready.
No,
But also the sacred things to dogs, which I also slightly object to, knowing dogs as I do,
yes,
and appreciating them. Um, there's something perhaps about our own our own capacity. Maybe in all of this, there's something about our own capacity to um, our own capacity to 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 contain, to um, keep within, um, to shelter the sacred, um, without it becoming wasted. Without we know, don't we?
mm,
Talk like if we're on retreat, for example, and we can waste an awful lot of energy that's built up by talking.
mm.
Um, I'm noticing that the time is passing.
Yes, we'll go to the second reading, shall we?
Let's do that.
Okay. Yeshua said, seek and you shall find. Yet those things you asked me about before, and which I did not tell you, I am willing to reveal now, but you no longer ask. Do not give sacred things to dogs, for they may treat them as dung. Do not throw pearls to swine, for they may treat them as rubbish. Yeshua said, whoever seeks will find. Whoever knocks from inside, it will open to them. Yeshua said, if you have money, do not lend it with interest, but give it to the one who will never pay you back.
Yeshua said, the kingdom of the Father is like the dough in which a woman has hidden some yeast. It becomes transformed into good bread. Those who have ears, let them hear. Yeshua said, the kingdom of the Father is like the woman who carried a jar of flour. After she walked a long way, the handle of the jar broke, and the flour began to spill behind her along the road. Heedless, she noticed nothing. When she arrived, she set down the jar and found it empty. Yeshua said, the kingdom of the Father is like the man who wanted to kill a man of power. First, he unsheathed his sword at home and thrust it into the wall to test his strength. Then he was able to kill the man of power. She noticed.
Whoever, go ahead, Joe.
She noticed nothing. She found it empty.
Whoever knocks from inside, it will open to them.
Inside, the yeast is put in the dough.
I am willing to reveal, but you no longer ask.
No longer empty.
The flour spilled along the road.
What is that road? The amphoras of this gospel, containing this gospel, are not available until they were found. They were opened. Until it was spilled.
Whoever knocks from inside, it will open to them.
Who is it knocking? Who is it on the inside?
Flour in the dough needs yeast to be transformed into good bread.
Yeast was put there by a woman. Was it the same woman?
Third reading. Yeshua said, "Seek and you will find. Yet those things you asked me about before, and which I did not tell you, I am willing to reveal now, but you no longer ask. Do not give sacred things to dogs, for they may treat them as dung. Do not throw pearls to swine, for they may treat them as rubbish." Yeshua said, "Whoever seeks will find. Whoever knocks from inside, it will open to them." Yeshua said, "If you have money, do not lend it with interest, but give it to the one who will never pay you back."
Yeshua said, "The kingdom of the Father is like the dough in which a woman has hidden some yeast. It becomes transformed into good bread. Those who have ears, let them hear." Yeshua said, "The kingdom of the Father is like the woman who carried a jar of flour. After she walked a long way, the handle of the jar broke, and the flour began to spill behind her along the road. Heedless, she noticed nothing. When she arrived, she set down the jar and found it empty. Yeshua said, "The kingdom of the Father is like the man who wanted to kill a man of power. First, he unsheathed his sword at home and thrust it into the wall to test his strength. Then he was able to kill a man of power."